It's Sunday morning, and every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
Pow! Good Sunday morning. It is 10:06 a.m. on FM News 101 KXL. I'm Nick Miles, and you're listening to Portland's automotive radio show, Test Miles, locally created, nationally celebrated. Our team of misfits, rapscallions, and ne'er-do-wells has been assembled to bring you the world's most up-to-date automotive news, reviews, and comment. So let me introduce them. Father of the show, the voice of maturity and reason. And he is also, were you here last week or you took a week? It was the week before you took a week off.
It was the week before.
Brad Boyer, how are you?
I am glorious, the voice of reason and all that stuff, but we were blowing things up in Clark County as we heard about. So
yeah, you live in the area where you can go buy fireworks and
we can blow up fruit and all kinds of good stuff.
I kind of get this is the time of year where I get old and get annoyed.
Cranky?
Yeah, cranky.
Are you in bed at 9 o'clock?
Kids, got a noise.
So I've been driving the Miata for the last 5 days. I haven't used my sunglasses, let alone put the top down. So
It's
bad
the
timing.
hard top, right?
Yes.
No, I feel bad for you. It's a lot better than Jaguar have this reputation of sending me all of their convertibles around December. So that doesn't work out so well. All right, well, you've enjoyed it, but you've been a little wet. Hopefully you haven't been too wet. A man who's passionate about cars, but not much else. Sean Walker. Sean, what's been going on?
Not much. We hung out in Detroit for the last week, driving some classic cars.
You did. You got to drive...
I got to drive an awesome car. I got to drive a 69 all-original Daytona, and I think that was the coolest car I've ever been in.
I was driving the Super B, the purple convertible Super B, with the guys from the Fast Lane car, Nathan and Roman Micah.
Yes.
And there's a button that says, a big red button that says air intake, which is the choke. And so as we're driving along, so I said, well, isn't that weird? That doesn't look original. It says air intake. And so Nathan pulls it. Well, what happens? Car stalls. We're sitting in the middle of nowhere, and it took us 20 minutes. They had to come rescue us with a Dodge Army vehicle to restart the car. You don't pull a choke on a 1960s vehicle.
Well, there was a lot of classic cars there, too. I mean, there was even a 1915 Dodge Brothers car, old crankshaft. We need Brad to get there and tell us how to turn it on.
Yeah, exactly. They wouldn't let us drive half the cars because they were so old, but we should have had you there, Brad, for that. My pal and professional passenger, also the show's producer, Andrew Awesome.
Hello.
How are you?
Good. Hi, Nick. How are you, buddy?
I'm good. How's your week been?
Pretty good. I was trying to think of something funny to come up with, but it really hasn't been a funny week. I've just been doing a couple of medical procedures. I had 2 epidurals done this week, so I feel real good.
You're happy, aren't you, right now?
I'm real good, and I can't even feel my feet, and I like it.
You're pumped full of the good stuff.
Yeah, no, it's good, and just been busy getting ready for the fall term of school.
And also our friend, he was our radio pal from years ago, and he's back with us on this show as well. Oli, how's your week been?
It's been great, guys. We, or my family, we went camping last weekend, so I wasn't here, and just kind of getting in the mode. Now everything's moving towards big car season, and a lot of car shows and racing going on, except for I was going to do some car show stuff this afternoon, but discovered a water leak this morning, so that's what I get to do.
Oh, like in the car?
No, behind the fridge.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds like it could be bad.
Yeah, it should be a blast.
So when you go camping, what do you take camping? Because you don't take your 240 Volvo, do you?
No, we take our XC90, our SUV, and we tank camp with the kids.
3 kids, mom and dad, a bunch of camping gear. The dog?
We did take the dog. It's always a disaster. We just didn't have somebody to watch him this time, but he's a little French Bichon, and he's the biggest wussy ever. He hates camping. He hates water. He'd
rather pee in the tent than go outside.
It's a pain. It's a real pain, but we took him anyways.
I hate that when that happens. By the way, we're trying very hard to concentrate in here right now. We've got motor racing on one screen and the World Cup on another. Mexico, by the way, are beating the Netherlands 1-0.
Yeah, I'm really struggling to keep concentrating with soccer
on the show. All right, it's time for the news quiz when we go over some of the stories of the week and see how well educated our crew is and how much they know. So anybody up for the first question? Which manufacturer is the king of green?
Ching.
Oli.
That is Ford now, actually dethroning Toyota, and that was there was a new consumer like a quiz type thing, a survey they took, and Ford actually took over Toyota based on their perception of the company's environmental behavior. And the new order that it is Ford, Toyota, Honda, then Nissan, and a lot of it for Ford was attributed to their superior advertising and their branding.
They have kind of got that down. Ford have really done an awful lot to refresh how people perceive them.
An interesting note on that survey that it wasn't just automotive, so it was all brands, all companies, and they were ranked at the top.
I think because cars can be seen as the most ungreen thing, to have them ranked as the green is really good.
Interestingly, a Portland company, Adidas, came in 8th.
Excellent. They're actually German, but they have their U.S. headquarters is here.
They're ours.
Brad's just claimed Adidas. But
Absolutely.
by the way, Germany, sorry if you were thinking they were yours. Which natural disaster is now a monument for this legendary car manufacturer?
So probably me, because I'm the oldest one here, and I probably am on a monument.
Anything that has monument in it, you take that
That's
question.
right.
All
I'm
right.
a monument man.
What's your answer, Brad Boyer?
This is the Corvette Museum. Now, this is close to home because I have my signature on the 1 millionth Corvette when it was going through that museum. We were back for a press event. That was one of the 8 vehicles that dropped down into the sinkhole.
Right, there was a 60-foot sinkhole that opened up in the bottom of this museum.
And 8 of these spectacular vehicles were crushed down in there. Some of them came out just hideous. But they're going to keep this as a ongoing exhibit. They're going to make it a little bit smaller, but their revenue was up 65% at the museum since the sinkhole.
God, I have to think of ideas to put a hole in something to get my revenue up 65%. All right, next question. Which car company just revealed 3 new recalls to an already long list?
Ding. Is this even a question? We should just say GM every week. It's GM. They have another.
It's really
3.
hard for me to protect them at this point to stop them being bashed, but go ahead.
If you own a GM, just take it in because it's going to have a recall sooner or later. That's my...
Actually, my best piece of advice for you there is just go to AAA.com. There you can see it, or go to the government website. You can see what vehicles have been recalled. Yes.
And I mean, I'm a big GM owner, so trust me, I have a long waiting list of cars waiting to go to the dealership right now.
Do you know the cars that were on the list?
It was a Silverado, Yukon, and Tahoe.
Right.
And Suburban.
Those are the pickups, and there's a whole bunch of others too, which they add every week. I mean. All right. Next question: which car manufacturer can get over $10 million just for its pieces?
Ding.
Oh, Andrew.
Ferrari.
Yes. Tell me about Ferrari.
Just 5 of the 1954 Ferrari 375 Pluses have ever been made. In the 60s, the very first one that was ever made was scattered about in a whole bunch of pieces. Even, like the engine bay had a tree growing out of it. So all these pieces put together, refurbished, repackaged, put together, sold for over $10 million, and it was the 3rd highest auction price for a car ever.
Yeah, and they put it back together. Actually, I'm not sure that's right. I can recall at least 3 cars that have auction price. It might be the 3rd highest price for a Ferrari.
So was the tree where it broke apart?
No, there was multiple. Yeah, probably. There was multiple cars, but the engine bay actually had a tree growing through it. Like, last question: why are electric cars able to recharge easier this week? Anyone?
Ding.
Andrew?
They're able to charge it easier because of the Real Power mobile charging truck.
That's right.
They're now available to the public. They're thrown on a 2012 GMC 3500 HD, and they're able to do 5 cars in either fast or slow charge mode. And they're going for, since they're in public usage now, they're going for $95K.
Yeah, $95,000 for a recharging truck to charge a car, which to me doesn't make much sense. If you have to haul these chargers around and then run the truck to recharge the cars, why didn't you just put gas in the car anyway? Right?
Yeah. Let's buy one, Nick.
Yeah,
It's $95,000. You can buy a lot of gas for $95,000.
Yeah, a lot of cars. You could probably buy 5 cars in the gas for as long as you might need them. Yeah, that's a lot of gas. But it's an interesting idea, especially for those people promoting electric cars. All right, you're listening to Test Miles and FM News 101. What's coming up on the show? We'll talk to someone from Ford about the brand new Edge. Sean and I spent a week in Detroit checking out all the new cars from the American automakers. We're also going to have Peter Clover here from Mobile West. He's going to talk to us about Project Discovery, and we'll be telling you what cars that we have been driving this week. You're listening to FM News 101 KXL. This is Test Miles, and I'm Nick Miles.
It's Test Miles on FM News 101. Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
Welcome back to Test Miles and FM News 101 KXL. I'm Nick Miles, and if you'd like more Test Miles, please visit the website at TestMiles.com. Did you know that Detroit is the potato chip capital of the world based on consumption? It's the home of the world's only floating post office. It's also the home of Motown music, and of course, the big three American car companies. I just spent a week in the city and was privileged enough to witness the international unveiling of the 2015 Ford Edge. The silks came off the car in Dearborn, Michigan, along with Cologne, Germany at the same time. Originally introduced in 2006, by the way, which is the same year as the iPhone was introduced. Now, I will tell you, this car definitely defines the crossover segment. To tell us about the new 2015 Edge, joining us via telephone is Mark Shermer, Communications Manager for Ford Utility Vehicles. Mark, the 2015 Edge just got a little bigger, didn't it?
Well, yeah, it's a little bigger in every way, and thanks for having me on the show today. I really appreciate it. We did get a chance to show it to you in the world last week for the first time, and it grows a little bit in most every dimension, but it hasn't really changed, its true shape and its proportions and its form. It still looks like an Edge, but it certainly looks like a fresher one.
It does, and it's on a new platform now, but one of the things I like most about the vehicle, for those that have parking issues, I understand it's really loaded with those park assist features.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We've got active park assist, which we introduced about 4 years ago. We have that now on about half the cars we sell available, and certainly the Edge will have what we call active park assist, but new is enhanced active park assist. So it actually does parking into parallel and perpendicular parking, just to help people out in tight spaces and stuff. And it's certainly, a nice safety net if you want to let the machines take over for a minute.
One thing I enjoyed most about that is I've been in a lot of cars when they do the automatic parking, and of course parallel was one of the first things, but perpendicular, oftentimes when you sit in a car, it takes 4 or 5 different tries to get into the space. This, I think, takes 1 or 2, it backs up as far as it can go, and then it'll turn a little bit more and get you in. So that's always a good feature if you don't have to sit there. These features are great as long as they work quickly, and I'm glad to say that the new Active Park Assist does that. Now, the new Edge is loaded with other driving assistance features. Tell us about a little of those.
Well, there's a lot of technology in this car. It probably has everything that Ford offers, plus some brand new ones. And I think to the point, it's amazing how far technology has come and how fast. And if you talk to some of our engineers, they comment that, every year the sensors get better, the software gets faster, gets better. They make improvements. So the car technology is improving at a huge pace right now. And some of the things that we're now offering, we have a new system, which I find really neat. It's called adaptive steering. And it's a pretty trick system. It's all compact in the steering wheel. And if you can imagine, it's a system in your steering wheel that's going to then work with you. So as you turn the wheel, it's going to either turn the steering wheels more or less depending on the speed you're going. So in a slow parking situation, you don't have to crank the wheel around as much because it's actually, as you move the steering wheel, it's turning the front wheels more. And then conversely on the highway, when you want a little more, you don't want the car darty or something, it is actually kind of smoothing that out. So overall, it makes the car more maneuverable, and it makes the car more fun to drive. It's a real trick system, and you get a chance to drive it, I think it'll really open your eyes.
I think the best part about that is, and we'll try and put this up at some point. By the way, if you want to see pictures of the new Edge, you can go to testmiles.com and look at the new Edge. But seeing the video of that system, the new steering system when it's turned on, and when it's turned off, and how much the driver moves the wheel. It's unbelievable that going into a parking space, you only have to turn it about a quarter of a turn, and the wheels turn exactly where they need to, whereas with it turned off, you almost have to rotate the steering wheel all the way around to get the wheels to move. So they know, those wheels know exactly how far to go. Now, is this just specifically on the Edge, or are we going to see it on other vehicles as well?
Well, like so many of Ford technologies, it's something we're developing, we're working with, we're going to start introducing. And if you go back to even Ford Sync, the first time we introduced that, or the adaptive cruise control, it starts to migrate pretty quickly across. And adaptive steering is certainly one, because the whole thing, it's built into the steering wheel. We have some neat pictures I think we shared with you guys in terms of how it works and in the system in the steering wheel. And because it can be put in the steering wheel, it really opens the door for, you can put it on multiple cars. And we think about some of our biggest trucks, long wheelbase, Super Duty, for example, and how helpful it would be for something like that. So it certainly will launch on the new Ford Edge early next year, but it's certainly something that we could migrate across the line.
I think that the best part about this is the fact that it forces people to go into a dealer to test drive. So when the new Edge arrives, don't take our word for it. Go in and test drive it, because it's something you have to experience for yourself. Now, the famous Ford EcoBoost engine is now standard on the Edge. Now, for those people that don't know what an EcoBoost engine is, do you have a simple explanation for us, Mark?
Well, yeah, we position EcoBoost as really three core technologies that we really work that work together to help improve both performance and fuel economy efficiency. And that's direct injection, it's turbocharging, and it's variable cam timing, variable valve timing. So essentially it's three technologies. If you get all those working together and the software involved, to get all those systems to work together, you can really get more performance out of a smaller engine, smaller displacement engine. And, the 2-liter engine gets good fuel economy cruising on the highway, but it also, with the EcoBoost technology, feels really lively and quick on just driving around at all times. You get a lot of torque early in the rev band. So just good driving engines that make you feel happy.
Now, the Edge is not just going to be a North American vehicle, is it? It's sort of going to be on sale in other countries outside the U.S.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been sold in small numbers in South America for a while, and we've been shipping some over to China where they love it. And but we are actually getting more aggressive with this new version. As you noted in the beginning of this session, the Edge launched in 2006, and it was updated in about 10, and this is the biggest overhaul. And when we did this overhaul, we really thought about the growth of utility vehicles around the world, particularly in Western Europe, where utility vehicles are growing pretty quickly. We're doing really well with the Escape, which we call the Kuga over there, and this vehicle will be a nice complement to that vehicle when we launch it next year in Western Europe. Certainly South America, it's positioned as a nice luxury car down there. A majority of the sales will still be in the U.S. because this is a big crossover utility, CD size market where you get a lot of volume. But it's certainly been developed and will certainly be sold around the world.
Now, Mark, do we know, because we're rapidly running out of time here, do we know the horsepower, the price, and fuel consumption, or when are we going to find those out?
Well, this vehicle will be on sale early next year, and we'll get more details around that. But I wouldn't expect a big jump from where we are today price-wise. Certainly we're going to introduce a titanium, so it's going to be a little more, we get a little more luxury, and it maybe moves up a little bit. But I don't think we'll move far from the starting price right now, which is, I think, right about $30,000.
Mark, thanks so much. We got to totally run. We ran out of time. You're listening to Test Miles on FM News 101. I'm Nick Miles.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with TestMiles.com. Favorite us, tweet us, friend us, love us, all at TestMiles.com.
Welcome back to FM News 101 KXL. You're listening to Portland's car radio show, Test Miles. And thanks for making us #1 in Portland. For your automotive fix, you can check us out on the website, testmiles.com. We have Facebook and the Twitters as well. Are you familiar with our Project Discovery? Well, if not, we'd love to tell you about it. We've taken a 2002 Land Rover Discovery, and we're preparing to refurbish it. This really comes from doing cars for SEMA. We decided we want to practice doing a SEMA car, and so we've gathered together the best of Portland's aftermarket crew to help us put this vehicle together. And it will be shown at the Portland Auto Show in January. They'll have a space for us on the floor, and you can meet a lot of the crew that worked on the car. They'll be available to walk you around it and to tell you what they did, and to show you what you could do to your car as well. So that's exciting news. And in the studio right now is our friend from Mobile West, Peter Clover. Now, Mobile West Car Audio and Restyle. You've added the Restyle, which tells me that we've got more going on the Mobile West platform.
Absolutely. And hi, this is Peter. Yeah, it's something that we've always done as part of making your car better. And, in the past, you do a consultation of making your car the way you would like it to be. Well, this month we've actually brought all of the upholstery, custom upholstery and restyling in-house.
So now you have a guy, or you have guys that now do this portion of the freshening up of your vehicle.
Oh, absolutely. And perfectly normal. Everything from, if you come in and you've got a tear in your seat to I want my whatever I'm driving to have an interior like a Bentley. Perfectly normal. It's all in-house. And then that means I can control it. I can make sure that the results are exactly what you want.
So this brings up a good point, and I will tell everybody that we exchanged messages in the week, and Peter offered to add to the fact that he's doing the audio on the inside of Project Discovery. He also offered to do the upholstery, which is awesome. I'm more excited now, like double excitement on the project. We were doing this dog luxury transportation, so what would we do to the inside? And remembering that you're going to have hounds on the inside and outside of this vehicle.
Oh, no, exactly. See, you need the front half of the vehicle to be luxury, comfortable, great touch and feel, but you need to have the back half of the vehicle to be hose-offable.
Right.
Right? Yeah, the back half needs to be completely dog-proof by design. The front half, where the people need to be the nicest thing that you can think of.
Right.
Perfectly normal.
And so, and I'm thinking we also want to have sort of dual use, and this might be something for your upholstery guy to look at. I'd like to be able to use the back seats in the vehicle when we need to take 5 passengers, or fold them up. The obvious thing would be to take them out, but sometimes you need to take more than just 2 people with the vehicle. So to be able to use them in the back and then fold them up and use the dog area as well. So maybe you guys will have some good ideas for that.
Well, I've actually even done it. 2 weeks ago, we had a gentleman that we were refurbishing his Land Cruiser. We did exactly that. Update the interior, the front half,
right,
to be gorgeous, and the back half, we did it for the exact same reason, to make it completely dog-proof. And then redid the back of the back seat so you could fold them down and have a completely, dog-proof experience in the back half of the car, but go fold that back up, and absolutely luxurious for the passengers.
Now, as far as the dog hair, how do we deal with that? I mean, you're talking about maybe hard surfaces too, but I noticed I did talk to the head of the Bentley Bespoke program, and he had a very interesting solution to that. They actually found material to match the dog hair, so when the dog hair fell on the back seats of the car, on the seats of the car, you couldn't tell because it looked just like it was part of the seat. But we probably got some maybe more reasonable solutions than that, because matching dog hair to seat coverings is probably going to be an extremely difficult thing to do.
Well, yeah, and especially if you have more than one dog,
Right.
Exactly. You got a chocolate lab and a Chihuahua.
Yeah.
Well, then I got a two-tone
Or
the
6
interior.
beagles.
Or 6
I only have
beagles, or
3
whatever it may be.
beagles, but I have
Yeah,
5
this
dogs.
week.
This week. Here's the deal: is I think I would be very upset if we actually used beagle pelts on the seat. That wouldn't work very well. But we probably got some solid material that we can use.
Oh, absolutely. Well, what we used on this last one was actually a marine grade flooring material that they're actually putting in a lot of speedboats these days.
Interesting.
So that it, a textured rubber non-slip surface,
right,
that's completely waterproof and hose-offable. Dogs track mud in the back. You just wipe it off.
Let's talk about the process of this. So,
But then we seamed it, edged it, made it sound deadened on the backside of it. We made it into a custom carpet kit for the car.
Wow. So when you do the interior of this car, you take the seats out and you redo those. So let's say you take the seats out and you put black up, black leather or black faux leather on them or whatever it might be, and some piping or whatever.
Absolutely.
Then what you do, you rip all the carpets out. And then,
because you've taken the seats out first.
Right.
Then you go disassemble the rest of the interior, take the entire carpet kit out of the car.
And then you put in your new flooring, whatever you decide. What now? The interior of this car, I would tell you I would have chose better colors, but is probably the worst color the Land Rover ever made. It's gold exterior, which will be changing when we do the wrap. The interior is beige, and it's painful. It's painful.
It was all the rage in 2000.
Right.
That was top of the line. We can change that for modern living.
Now, and that's the interesting thing is I noticed I've been in the shop. For instance, you have your Mercedes, which you worked on in the shop there. What's an 80s Mercedes?
Yeah.
And that had
Project
a beige interior. And then in the 90s, we went to these sort of black interiors in cars. And then sort of the 2000s, we went back to beige as well. Is car interior fashion secular? Do you think we go from beige to black to beige to black?
Yeah. No, absolutely it is. I think that's something that's been the case for many, many, many years.
And I've noticed also that there are few people. I'm adventurous. I'm very adventurous with car colors on the interior. I'd be adventurous. Volvo did a great interior of a car once, which was lime green and like an ivory mix, and it looked really good. And they've done black and orange and things. But people aren't that. They're not excited to do those sort of things.
Well, your average consumer who's driving a Camry, no, he wants beige or gray.
Or gray or black.
Unless you're going to keep that car for your lifetime.
And then
then you've got the resale, and you're limited on who it's going to then be.
Actually, I think that's a fallacy. I think for me personally, I'd be more interested in buying a car with an interesting interior than something that's beige.
Well, Nick, you're an interesting guy. Right? That's fine.
What's
I
the
am
subtext
as well.
in that sentence?
Sure. But
You're interesting.
You talk about, you think back to classics of hot rodding. I mean, you're talking back 40s and 50s. I mean, the whole car culture. The people who are involved in the car culture and get the individuality that can be done in a vehicle, they've always been open to making it the way you want it to be, right? I mean, think about all your, early car craft days and,
right.
50s and 60s Motorama cars. You know what? It's completely not practical to have a, 2-inch white fur carpets in your everyday car, but in show cars back in the 60s, all the rage.
Now you have recently been doing some work on Jaguar.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us what you've been doing, or is it a big secret?
It's still a big secret, but the first car that we did for them is actually currently on the show car circuit. And there are a few more to come.
National circuit.
National circuit.
So when I go and look at the new Jaguars on the inside, I can see your work?
Yes.
Interesting. Well, we'll have to dig deeper once we take a break here. Peter, tell us if somebody wants a new audio system, they want to consult on the car, have a new interior or anything else. How do we get a hold of you?
You just either stop by the shop at Northeast 2nd and Broadway, or just give me a call, 503-257-0488, or email me at peter-clover@mobilewestpdx.com, and we'll set aside some time, and we'll make your car as awesome as you can imagine.
I have plenty more questions for you, and we also need to talk about what cars we've been driving. We will come back. Will you stay with us for the next segment?
Oh, absolutely.
Excellent. I want to talk more about some of the things that you've been doing and also some of the things that you can do. We're going to talk about what vehicles that we've been driving this week, and we're going to get to a little other exciting news that's coming your way. You're listening to FM News 101 KXL. This is TestMiles, your weekly car radio show. I'm Nick Miles.
It's Test Miles on FM News 101. Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
your Sunday morning, 10:51. We've got a few minutes left to talk about the cars that we've been driving this week on Test Miles, and also get back with Peter Clover and find out more about our Project Discovery. Andrew, tell us what cars you dealed out of the garage this week.
Well, Nick, I started off with you. I gave you the Chrysler 200S, followed with Sean getting the Hyundai Genesis, and Brad getting the GMC Yukon Denali.
All right, let me tell you a little bit about the Chrysler 200S. I'm pretty impressed with this car. The last 200, a little bit sad. This has a really powerful vehicle. It's a 4-cylinder, a 6-cylinder, thoughtfully overhauled interior with a few Easter eggs in there. And this vehicle, I think, is got a good chance of fighting for the spot. A lot of competition here. The Camry, the Accord, the Mazda 6, the Altima. The V6 engine is very strong. It's a good composed ride handling. The interior is much more slick in this vehicle. What I don't like is it seems a little tight on the inside. A 2.4-liter inline 4 is the one we tested. 184 horsepower, 9-speed transmission, which is kind of interesting. You can get a choice of a front-wheel or all-wheel drive. 26 city, 36 highway. There are 4 trim levels, the LX, the Limited, the S, and the C. The tech is really, I would say, I'm going to go out on a limb here and be very honest and say the Uconnect system, which Chrysler do, is my favorite of the systems on the manufacturer systems on the interior of the car. My actual favorite interior system is the ones that Mobile West put in there as far as tech's concerned. But Uconnect is my favorite manufacturer system. Really, with the driving impressions, no complaints apart from one. So everything is perfect. Going over speed bumps at speed in this car, very uncomfortable. I think the shocks and the ride needs to be a little softer. Starting price is about $27,000. I'll give it 8 out of 10. Brad, what do you got?
Well, I went to Andy and I said, hey, I'm driving around as billionaire guy. I need to floss. I need to look good. So he gave me the new 2015 Yukon Denali, which really proves that SUVs are not dead. And it's the large SUV, fits somewhere in between the Tahoe and the Escalade. And it's the first overhaul on this vehicle, first major overhaul since 2007. What I really liked about it is just a great ride. It was quiet inside. I was surprised how quiet it was. Strong V8, and it's got the third row seat. And finally, it folds down into the seats rather than that cumbersome taking it out and having to schlep it back. Third row, however, is fairly limited in leg room, and if you don't have the XL version, which is the longer wheelbase, it's fairly limited in what you can do if you have any people in there. Now, it's got 2 different engine options. It's got the 5.3 V8 for the regular Yukon, and then the Denali version has the 6.2 V8. So with that 6.2, you're up to 420 horsepower, and you can haul over the Timberline Pass and up to, rafting areas. It just hauls great. So it comes with a couple of drivetrains with the 4x2 or the 4x4. I think most people would do the 4x4. 18 miles per gallon is about the average, 16 and 23. So I averaged a couple of times in the 25 while I was driving on the highway. So I had a great time. Its competition may be itself with the Acadia and maybe even dropping down to the Tahoe and then the Escalade. Those are the biggest competitions for that. The 3 trim levels are the SLE, SLT, and then the Denali, which is really the way you'd want to equip this vehicle. Price is about $46,000 up to $65,000, and what I drove was about $64,000. I give it an 8.5. That third row seat limitations kind of knocks it down a touch for me.
Awesome. Sean?
I had the Hyundai Genesis, and this car competes with the BMW 5 Series, M-Class, or E-Class with Mercedes and the Audi A6, and I actually think it's a strong competitor. It's beautiful design on this. The grille looks like Audi's. I mean, they ripped off a lot of styling from all the German cars and made it their own, and it's just a fantastic, beautiful car. Even walking up at night, it even does the floor mats, lights up with the Genesis logo on the ground, which is one of the coolest things I've seen. The only bad thing about this car, I think, is that it has a weak audio system, but I would take it to Peter and get it definitely upgraded. But it's a great car with all the tech on it. It has the 3.8 liter V6, 311 horsepower. Also does have a 5-liter, 420 horsepower V8 all-wheel drive, which I can't wait to get into. The interior is roomy. We were driving around yesterday with 5 people, and even the person in the middle seat was very comfortable in this car. Handles nicely. I mean, it's a solid built car. Gets 22 miles to the gallon, and I had the base model, which is only $38,900.
Yeah, I think they've done a really good job with that. And of course, Peter would be happy to have a stereo put in the car. Unfortunately, when you have to give it back to Andy at the end of the week, he's not going to take the stereo back out.
I'm thinking about actually buying the car, so...
If you're buying the car, we'll take care of that.
I
We've
hope
done
so.
a number of them so far.
Now, Peter, you have some plans. You told us in the break that you've already been thinking about the interior of the Project Discovery Land Rover. So,
absolutely.
So tell us some of the things you've been thinking about, and then let's go back over the audio in the 3 minutes that we have left in the show.
Absolutely. Well, interiors, we're talking about bland interior colors, and I'm planning on redoing the upholstery, door panels, and incorporating some of the TestMiles logoing colors into it. Make it yours.
Excellent. So it's fresh and it's vibrant, unlike a lot of the dull colors.
Absolutely.
And then I noticed there's little things, and maybe is this part of the upholstery? But for instance, the boot that goes around the shifter and those type of things, those things get worn. Is that something your upholsterer replaces, or do you really need to go to Land Rover to get new parts for that?
No, let's make a new one that matches the color scheme of the vehicle.
All right.
Right? Redo it. That's part of restyling.
All right, we're gonna get with you in the next week or so, and let's do some TV, let's do some filming of these cars, let's get into your shop. Sean and I are both here all week. Thank you everyone for being on the show. We have come to another end of another great show, another hour. You can visit us on the web at testmiles.com. Go visit Peter at Mobile West, and you can find out all of the audio and restyling stuff that he does. We will be back again next week. However, online, we're always at testmiles.com, where you can find out Peter's information and everything else about the show. We'll be back again next week on KXL-FM News 101, and we enjoy being your friends in the automotive industry. Until next week, I'm Nick Miles.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with TestMiles.com.